What's going on, people? I know I should have really reviewed this album sooner because it was requested a while. So here I am reviewing it. Because I did announce that I would want to do more throwback reviews. At some point, I will be reviewing Metallica's Load and Reload albums. That'll probably be the one that I do next. But today we're going to be talking about Slipknot, and what is my history with the band? Well, I kind of got into them this year, and I find these guys to be really overrated, honestly. In my opinion, I think they've really only had two good albums. Not that anything after the first two albums were bad. All Hope Is Gone, I think it is, and The Gray Chapter, and their third one, Volume 3. All those albums are just decent to me. But their first couple of albums, I would say, are good. They're self-titled, and of course, Iowa, which will be the one we are talking about today. So this is my review for Iowa from Slipknot. And what's my overall opinion on this album? I think it's good. I think it's probably my favorite Slipknot album for multiple reasons. The intensity, the brutality, and just the overall sound and the vibe that this album gives off is just great. The one thing that I really don't like about this album, and they're self-titled, is pretty guilty of this as well, but it's the interludes at the beginning, the intros. I'm not really one for albums with interludes and intros. To me, I don't like it as much. I try to avoid those the best I can. But yeah, this is Slipknot's Iowa, and maybe some of you know, but I believe that's where Slipknot's from, is Iowa. And I gotta say, they're a pretty good band. Like I said, I do find them to be overrated, though. I know they were really popular in the metal and rock community. Well, the rockers only like their new stuff because, oh boy, less scream vocals. But people like myself prefer the older stuff, and that is when Slipknot was, when they were best. This album, Iowa, and pretty much anything of previous Slipknot, I hear some influences. It doesn't say on their Wikipedia page, but in a sense, I do feel like they're influenced by In Flames, because I do believe In Flames has been around longer than Slipknot, and I do think Slipknot is influenced a little bit by some death metal bands. And Slipknot is no means death metal. No, not even close. They're more like nu metal, but I know some elitists call them poser, but I mean, you can call it what you want. I mean, yeah, they're not the realest metal band, you could say, but they still are metal. I mean, what are they, pop? I gotta say, the first couple of opening tracks are very good, but one of them I really liked is Disaster Piece. This was a standout to me. It's a very chaotic, thrashy song with just really, it's got this intensity that sticks with you. It has this sense of loneliness, and it really is just fantastic. It's heavy, and it's all around just very good. And My Plague, I think, is another good one. I think this is a fan favorite. There was another one, too, that I wanted to talk about. I believe it's I think it's Everything Ends. I don't like the intro to this song. This, to me, is not really one of my favorite tracks. It's probably one of my least favorites on this album, but if you like it, that's fine, you have your own opinion on the tracks on this album. But one I really wanted to talk about was Left Behind, and this here is probably my favorite track on this album. Surprisingly, this has its fair share of clean vocals. So if you guys, start complaining that this doesn't have enough clean vocals, which that's a dumb reason to complain about, you might want to skip over to this song. Yeah, I really shouldn't encourage it, but but it is probably my favorite track on the record, only because of its diversity and just the vibe that this song delivers. I believe it's a single too. It's also a fan favorite. It's pretty catchy if you give it a listen. So yeah, definitely great. And Metabolic is just, it's another good one too. It's a real thrashy one. Of course, the closing track, the title track, Iowa. This is a brilliant song. I gotta say, it's the longest track on the record, and wow, it really is something. And they did a good job with the closing track on this album, because I don't know about anyone else, but the longest track on every album should be the closing track. And with this album, they did that. And I know I didn't talk about every single song on this album, but I don't want this to be a super long review. I just, a lot of you know that I don't talk about, every track on every album, because I know you guys who watch, some of you guys who watch my Breaking Benjamin reviews were like, why didn't you talk about this song? Why didn't you talk about that one? I don't want to go through that again, but oh well. I shouldn't have to say it, so if you guys wonder, it's because I don't want it to be a super long review, and, it also may be because they're not a standout to me. But I just give my overall opinion, and that's what counts to me. Plus, I'm not a good album reviewer, and so here I am reviewing albums, but I'm sorry, getting off topic. But yeah, Slipknot, Iowa. Would I recommend it? Sure. Slipknot is not really a band that I come to too much, mainly because I do think they're repetitive, and I do think they lack a lot of things, including replay value. But when it does come to Slipknot, Iowa is a must-have. It is. And if you can only have, if I could tell you, you have to have one Slipknot album in your collection, go with Iowa, because it really is. It's a great album. Like I said, it's probably my favorite out of their whole discography. I'd probably give Slipknot, Iowa an 8 out of 10. And I know some people might think, well, if it's your favorite Slipknot album, why is it not 10 out of 10? Because Slipknot is, like I said, they lack replay value, and I really don't come to them that much. And an 8 out of 10 is really a compliment for Slipknot, I think. I think, like I said, their first two albums are really good, and I just feel like everything after that, they weren't bad, but they were just decent. So yeah, I don't know. Slipknot's not a band that I don't think I'll ever, really heavily get into, but I will always probably listen to the first couple of albums that they've released, because those to me are their best. And if you're a Slipknot fan, I'm sure you agree on that. This, I do recommend this also for fans of classic In Flames and classic Demon Hunter, because that's, another thing too. I know I talk about Demon Hunter a lot on this channel, but, they were one of my favorite bands for the past 3 years, and why I wanted to talk about them now is because when I listened to Slipknot's older material, it gave me some classic Demon Hunter feels, especially from their self-titled. I mean, it's almost like Demon Hunter took a page right out of Slipknot's book or something. The scream vocals really, they sound alike. And yeah, if you're a Demon Hunter fan, check out Slipknot, and if you're a Slipknot fan, you should check out Demon Hunter, or at least Demon Hunter's older material, like their first couple of albums. And yeah, I do think new metal fans will like this. If you have not, I recommend it to fans of Korn. Not really a big fan of Korn, but I do think you guys will enjoy this. Not a bad album overall. Like I said, it does lack replay value. Even though this is my favorite Slipknot album, the band just does lack replay value for me. And I don't know if it's just because, like I said, I'm not really the biggest fan of new metal, and that's probably the biggest thing that keeps me from listening to them a lot. You know, I'm more into, you know, death metal. You know, that's probably my main genre, my main subgenre of metal. But Slipknot, like I said, I feel like they do have some death metal influences, and that, I think it really does show in this record. It's a heavy album, and I think you should give it a listen. You know, even if new metal isn't your thing either, definitely give Iowa by Slipknot a listen, because you might like it. I do think it's a good album overall. Well, guys, that concludes this review. What did you guys think of this album? Let me know down in the comments, and feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Take care.